Before we begin, I just wanted to make a special shout out. For those who are unaware, a number of weeks ago, my dog Duke had passed away, and a lot of you had reached out to me with kind words and support, and I immensely appreciate that. One person in particular contacted me offering a gift to commemorate Duke's life, and I had accepted. It was absolutely beautiful. With that, they also mentioned in passing that they run their own Etsy storefront, which contained these beautiful light boxes of games that were really relevant to myself and the audience. Starfield, BioShock, Elder Scrolls, Doom, and they just looked incredible. So I thought one act of kindness begets another, and I wanted to just point you all in the direction of this storefront, which will be linked in the description down below. I'm big on making sure my money is going to good people. So if you want to support someone who did something really nice for me and is a generally good person, their storefront will be linked down below. You can get one of these light boxes just like I did for yourself. Thank you again for sending all those kind gifts and your kind words, all of you. And now let's get on with the video. Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and welcome to a Cyberpunk 2077 news update that I bet you absolutely didn't expect at all. Yes, there are more delays, and we're going to talk about that in today's video, alongside an interesting announcement that just happened about a week ago for CD Projekt Red. So if you're new here and you're looking into all things Cyberpunk, especially in 2022, where things will pick up again, consider subscribing. Welcome aboard. Thank you so much for joining me today. And now, let's talk about CD Projekt Red. So, of course, Cyberpunk 2077 has been this up and down roller coaster. We've been waiting for more and more patches, and a very big one released just about a couple of months ago, patch 1.3. And with it came some DLC that changed Johnny Silverhand's outfit, a new car, a new jacket, a bunch of lame stuff. But on top of that were a lot of significant gameplay changes. However, it hasn't quite been enough, and as they continue to plug holes in the sinking ship, there are more that are appearing elsewhere. So what's happening now is CD Projekt Red has made the wise decision to just go off the radar in its entirety for the rest of 2021. We're going to read an investor's report and then discuss some more, so let's get into it. It's a really quick one, believe it or not, and it doesn't have the yellow background either. Dear all, we have an important update regarding next generation updates of Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt for consoles and PC. Based on recommendations supplied by teams supervising the development of both games, we decided to postpone their releases until 2022. Our current target for Cyberpunk 2077 is the first quarter of 2022 and second quarter of 2022 for The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Apologies for the extended wait, but we want to make it right, which obviously they should. On a separate note, The Witcher 3 going until Q2 2022 is a bit of a head scratcher. I'm pretty confident that The Witcher 3's next-gen update was announced at the end of last year. And here we are heading into midway 2022, and we're talking about The Witcher 3 getting a next-gen update then. I'm wondering if this has something to do with the timing of Witcher Season 2, but also I totally anticipate Cyberpunk being on Game Pass, and maybe it'll be a big swing in the reignited love of CD Projekt Red, although it'll never be quite the same. However, I wonder if that's part of their plan. But the roadmap for Cyberpunk 2077 has changed again. This is something that sort of flew under the radar after they had announced it. And when you really take a look at the old roadmap, which as we can see here, would go to patch 1.3, and then for the rest of the year, we'd get free DLCs, and they were aiming to get the next-gen console update out by the end of the year. It has now changed to this roadmap here, which ends at patch 1.31, which was just adding a couple of more gameplay fixes and changes. But beyond that now, they have placed the free next-gen console update in Q1 2022 with no determinations as to when you're going to see expansions or when that free DLC shall even arrive. So again, the roadmap for Cyberpunk 2077 has become even more vague, where now we don't even know when the free DLCs, the 16 or so pieces that had apparently leaked at one point, we don't even know when any of that would arrive, let alone now we don't know when the next gen update is dropping. And I'm going to emphasize a point I've been saying a little bit on podcasts recently, and I know not everyone listens to podcasts, so I want to say it here, which is that CD Projekt Red's playing a dangerous game that they kind of earned themselves by rushing out Cyberpunk late last year. What happens is, unfortunately, now that you had to get it out then, the hype for Cyberpunk has mostly come and gone. There are many people out there who are still very curious about this game, and I certainly would love to go back to it when it's fully optimized and do another playthrough because I really enjoyed my time with it. But it's never going to reach that peak of hype. And now when they're finally going to try to bounce back with Cyberpunk, Q1 2022 have y'all looked at what's coming out by chance? Have you taken a quick glance at the amount of games and the amount of time that you're gonna have to spend elsewhere with exciting new releases? I'm talking a new Horizon. I'm talking Elden Ring, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Dying Light 2. That's just to name a quick handful in relatively the same month. There are plenty more beyond that, and now CD Projekt Red has to fight all of them to gain relevance again. It's why I've insisted time in, time out, I will be positively stunned. I'll take a shot of some hot sauce. Actually, I won't do that. That'll harm me. I'll do something upon the audience request if we don't see Cyberpunk in Game Pass when they get this next-gen update out, because it's so extremely, painfully, obviously necessary to get people to actually play this game that they need to hand it out. They were selling it for $10. $10. And you're telling me now that they can't do Game Pass? They need to do it because they need people to put their hands on and see and believe and then spread the good word. That's how CD Projekt Red earned their reputation in the first place before dashing it all the way post-launch Cyberpunk. So yes, the roadmap for Cyberpunk 2077 has been delayed. What I also want to talk about, though, that I found extremely interesting is amidst CD Projekt Red having a smidge of a financial crisis early 2021, of course, due to Cyberpunk 2077, it did end up breaking even, but I don't think they profited nearly as much as they should have. They have been buying studios this year. Here's one that they just purchased very recently. CD Projekt Red buys an indie studio to make a game based on one of its properties. Announced to investors today, CD Projekt announced that it has bought 60% of the Boston studio initially and organized transactions that take over the remaining 40% over time. The Molasses Flood will collaborate with CD Projekt's development unit, CD Projekt Red, but will retain full autonomy. And in this post, Molasses Flood, who's responsible for this indie game called Drake's Hollow, exciting news for us, we've joined the CD Projekt family and are working on a project within one of their existing universes. Now, we know that the multiplayer component of Cyberpunk 2077 had been shut down. And I think all expansions of Cyberpunk 2077 and how it was supposed to be this multimedia beast when it had first arrived, like stormed in, took over the industry, everyone loved it, give me a show, give me a new spin-off game, give me multiplayer. They had a game plan for this release, and that's how catastrophically bad it was that they started to shut stuff down. We're still gonna get the Cyberpunk anime. I'm looking forward to that one. But for those wondering which IP that this team would be working on, my guess is The Witcher. The Witcher is enjoying an immense surge in popularity thanks to the success of the Netflix TV show, where, get this, The Witcher 3, already a wildly popular game, wildly successful game, reached its peak player count when the first season aired many years after its launch. Now we got season 2 coming up in December. It's looking fire, by the way. Cannot wait to check that one out. We got season 2 arriving, though. We have this new Pokemon Go style Witcher game. We've got Gwent, we had Thronebreaker. I would be surprised if before The Witcher 4, we did not see another CD Projekt Red-based spin-off in the Witcher universe, because that is the one that's making them their bread. It's the one that everyone loves. It's that Elder Scrolls Fallout balance that I always like to go back to, right? You can tell Bethesda Game Studios, they take really good care of Elder Scrolls, and then Fallout, they're like, okay, here you go, like that. And, you know, I get it, right? I get it. Like, one's like your first child, right? In a way, even though they borrowed from a book, but one's like your first child. So I'm thinking that that's where they're going to go. It also just seems like a good fit for the developer. But even just back in July, they had purchased Canadian Digital Scapes Development Studio, a Vancouver-based development studio, and both companies have been in close collaboration since 2018, so this was kind of just a no-brainer. We had talked about that already on the channel, so I don't really need to go too deep into it, but I just found it all fascinating that amidst everything that's occurring here, they're gobbling up studios. So they have a lot of money still floating around, of course, and I think they maybe recognized internally, like, hey, we need more staff on hand to actually get things going for our games, because think of when the next-gen version for Cyberpunk 2077 was supposed to come out. It was supposed to be much earlier than it actually is. Now we're talking deep into 2022, and then we're probably talking fall 2022 for expansion. So they needed to expand their team first to handle this workload, to actually get it done in a timely, realistic manner. So the crazy thing is, while I really enjoyed Cyberpunk 2077, and I know a lot of people did, there's also a lot of people who were very disappointed. And the real launch date, if you will, for Cyberpunk and its next-gen update and probably a lot of DLC with it is going to be next year. So it's almost going to be like this relaunch, and it reminds me of that feeling around Fallout 76 Wastelanders, where everyone's like, yeah, it's this game that could have been there, but it's not really, and we got this thing that we really want, but it's that game. There's that uncomfortable level of anticipation there. I'm in the wait and see approach because, again, I'm coming from the standpoint of someone who enjoyed the game, so I'm just chilling like, all right, let's see what you got, and if you can get me back in a second time, good. Mission accomplished. But for everyone else, I'm curious to see your thoughts on this in the comments down below. What do you think of the new roadmap? What do you think of the studio acquisitions they've been making, and overall the path that CD Projekt Red is on? I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that they've decided, hey, let's just shut up. Let's just be quiet. Because when they came out with patch 1.3 and they said, here's all this free DLC and this crazy stuff we're doing, it was just like, dude, you guys have nothing to show. Just be quiet until you can. And I'm glad they listened to the consumer. So that's good news for me. I'm curious to see what you have to say in the comments down below. So fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. And a big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to support the hell out of the content here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.